Okay. Before you go digging in your couch cushions like a raccoon looking for treasure, hear me out. There's a teeny tiny copper coin, a 1979 D Lincoln penny, that's worth, wait for it, $1.5 million. Moneybag, yeah, that's right. A single penny, minted in 1979 in Denver, with a D mark just below the year, might just be the ticket to your early retirement, that dream vacation, or at least a few weeks of obnoxiously bragging to your friends on groupchat.so. Today, we're gonna break down what makes this penny so special, how you can spot one, in my own personal horror story involving a valuable penny and a vending machine. Let's dig in, literally and figuratively. So what gives? I mean, isn't every 1979 D penny worth, well, a penny? Well, most of them are. But here's the thing, not all pennies are created equal. The rare version of this penny is a mint error, and coin collectors go absolutely bananas over mint errors. This specific 1979 D penny was struck on a copper planchet from 1962 to 1982, but, and here's the kicker, it has an extremely sharp double die error on the obverse, that's the front, for the non-coin nerds, and the details are pristine. We're talking about a specimen in top-tier condition, what numismatists call MS67 red, that sold for $1.5 million. That's million with an M, baby. So, how do you know if your pocket change is hiding a jackpot? First off, check that it says 1979 with a little d under the date. That means it was minted in Denver. That's step 1. Examine Lincoln's face. Yeah, you gotta get up close and personal. If you've got doubling, that's where the letters or numbers look like they've got a shadow or echo, you might have something special. Now, I'm not saying whip out a microscope during lunch break, but hey, maybe I am. Weigh it. The valuable one weighs about 3.11 grams. Some 1979 pennies were mistakenly struck on leftover copper planchets when they were supposed to be zinc. Copper's heavier. If it weighs over 3 grams, don't spend it. Grab a little gram scale online. Trust me, it'll pay for itself. Alright. Story time. Back in college, broke, hungry, and definitely not a coin nerd, I was at the vending machine, trying to get a Snickers bar. I was short 5 cents. I dug into my jeans, found an old penny, shoved it in, got my candy, and walked away a happy man. Fast forward a few years, I'm reading an article about a rare 1970s penny. I freeze. Same year. Same mint mark. Same weird doubling I remember seeing but brushing off because I thought it was dirty, yeah. I spent a $50,000 penny for a Snickers, worst trade ever. Moral of the story, don't be like college me. Check your change. So why is this penny worth so much now? Only a tiny handful of these exist in pristine condition, and collectors are willing to pay insane money to complete their sets. As of right now, the last one sold for $1.5 million at auction, and coin values only go up over time, especially for rare errors. With more people entering the hobby and less change floating around, credit cards, the demand for classic coins is skyrocketing. So there you have it, the humble little 1979 D Lincoln penny that could change your life. Literally. Like quit your job and buy a jet ski kind of change. Moral of the story? Check your pockets, your piggy banks, that weird junk drawer with batteries and paper clips. You never know what treasure is waiting. Tell me in the comments if you've ever found something valuable in your change, or if you've ever accidentally spent one like I did. Misery loves company. And hey, if you're into finding hidden gems in your spare change, rare coins, or just want tips on how to become the Sherlock Holmes of pocket lint, then hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell for more coin collecting gold. Because around here, we turn cents into cents. Smirking face. We're talking about a humble little copper coin that could be worth more than your house. Yep. I said it. 1 penny. $1.4 million. Stick around because I'm gonna show you exactly what to look for in your spare change, share a wild personal story involving pennies and pizza. You'll love this. And I'll tell you why the 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny is creating a frenzy in the collector world right now. Let's get rich, 1 cent at a time. So here's the deal. In 1980, the Philadelphia Mint started using the P Mint mark on coins like nickels, quarters, and dimes, but not on pennies. That's right. While Denver and San Francisco had their D and S marks, Philly was like, nah, we good. Now, that's normal for 1980 pennies. But here's where it gets spicy. A very rare batch of Lincoln pennies from 1980 were struck with an ultra-high grade and a weird error where the coin had no mint mark and features struck more sharply than usual, on a near-perfect blank. Think of it as the Beyoncé of pennies. It came out flawless, and has been getting attention ever since. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Who in their right mind would pay over $1 million for a single penny? Well, collectors. That's who. And coin collectors? They're next level passionate. This particular 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny was graded as MS-68. That's mint state, not a Star Wars droid, and it's basically perfection. Flying saucer at a super rare era plus pristine condition plus high demand equals jackpot. One of these babies recently made headlines for a private sale estimated around $1.4 million. That's not monopoly money. That's pay off your student loans and still buy a Tesla money. So here's a quick story. Back in college I was broke. Like, living on ramen broke. One night, my friends and I were pulling coins from under the couch cushions to order pizza. We came up with exactly $12 and change, and I threw in a shiny 1980 penny that I thought looked kinda cool. Fast forward 10 years. I get into coin collecting, and I learn about this exact penny. Guess what? I checked that pizza penny? Gone. Probably chilling in a delivery guy's coin jar. Could have been the one worth $1.40 million. Lesson? Don't underestimate the pennies, y'all. They may look small, but they can be mighty. Alright, so here's how you can go hunting for gold in your change jar. Grab any 1980 pennies. Flip them over and look under the date. No mint mark? Good start. Check the condition. No scratches, full details on Lincoln's jacket and beard. Even better. Consider sending it to be graded by a service like PCGS or NGC if it looks flawless. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Not just to feel fancy, but to spot the details. Look, I'm not saying you're gonna find $1 million coin in your couch, but I'm also not saying that. Smirky face, every coin tells a story. And some are worth way more than face value. If you've got a jar of pennies lying around, don't cash it in just yet. Go hunting. It's like lottery tickets you already paid for 40 years ago. And hey, if you learned something new or you just like dreaming about coins that can buy castles, hit that like button. And subscribe for more tips on spotting coins worth money, coin collection hacks, and how to turn pocket change into a payday. Don't forget to tap that notification bell, so you don't miss our upcoming video on the rare penny from 1992 that could pay for your next vacation. And remember, friends, check your change, because that penny in your palm could be your ticket to the big time. Catch you next time, and may your pockets always jingle with potential. I'm talking about a little copper coin that might be hiding in your junk drawer, glove box, or wedged under the couch cushions. That's now worth $1.70 million. Face screaming in fear and nope, it's not gold, not encrusted with diamonds, it's the 1981 no mint mark Lincoln cent. So stick with me, because in the next 10 minutes, we're diving into what makes this penny so freaking valuable, how you can check if you have one, and I'll even share a painfully hilarious story about the time I almost spent one on a gas station hot dog. Spoiler. Regret was involved. Alright, coin lovers and curious minds, let's get into it. Alright, so what's the deal with this 1981 penny? Most pennies minted in Philadelphia from 1981 have a little blank space where you'd expect a mint mark. Nothing unusual, right? Wrong. Because the US Mint started putting a P mint mark on coins from Philadelphia in 1980 for nickels, but not for cents, yet. So here's the thing. All 1981 Lincoln cents made in Philly technically don't have a mint mark. But, and here's the spicy part, hot pepper, a small number of these pennies were struck on the wrong planchet, or had extremely rare die varieties. We're talking off-metal strikes, double dies, and transitional errors. Now combine that with a rare no-mint mark variation that should not exist, and boom, you've got yourself a penny that collectors are willing to throw wads of cash at. I mean, who knew Abraham Lincoln could be that expensive? Here's where it gets juicy. There's a rumor in the coin community, and by rumor, I mean Reddit thread, that a handful of these 1981 no-mint mark pennies were part of a test batch or an accidental die usage during the transition to zinc cores. You see, 1981 was the last full year of copper pennies. After that, they switched to copper-plated zinc. So these transition years are like the hormonal teenage years of US coins, awkward, full of mistakes, and highly collectible. Some of the known era coins from that year were struck on planchets meant for foreign coins, or even dimes. And when one of those babies shows up with no mint mark and abnormal metal composition, coin nerds lose their collective minds. Alright, now the number you've been waiting for. How much is this tiny circle of copper actually worth? One verified 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, with an off-metal strike and authenticated by PCGS, sold at auction for $1.70 million. That's Bailam and still have change for coffee money. Money with wings now. Before you quit your job to go dig through your sock drawer, remember, it's all about condition and rarity. Your penny has to be graded, authenticated, and unique enough to catch a collector's eye. But hey, even a less valuable error version can go for hundreds or thousands. So it's definitely worth checking your stash. Okay, confession time. About 7 years ago, I was road tripping across Iowa. Don't ask why, it was a phase, and I stopped at this sketchy gas station. I didn't want to use my card, so I scraped together some change to buy a hot dog and a pack of beef jerky. One of the pennies I handed the cashier looked different. It had this sharp strike, no mint mark, and just looked unusually crisp for a coin older than me. But I was hungry and dumb. I spent it. Grimacing face months later, I got into coin collecting and realized that penny might have been worth serious money. Let's just say I still think about that gas station hot dog, and not in a good way. So, don't be like me, folks. Check your coins before you toss them in a vending machine. Phew. Who knew a little copper disc could be worth more than a house in the suburbs? If you're now staring at your penny jar like it owes you rent, good. That's the energy we want. Go grab your magnifying glass, flashlight, and maybe some gloves if you're feeling fancy, and start digging through your change. And hey, if you find a 1981 no mint mark penny, call me. Or better yet, get it graded, protect it like your grandma's wedding ring, and prepare for a wild ride. And if you love coin collecting, treasure hunting, or just laughing at my coin-related trauma, do me a solid, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell so you don't miss future uploads, drop a comment if you've ever found something valuable in your spare change. I want to hear your stories. Because remember, sometimes the biggest treasures are hiding in the smallest places. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the 1982 no mint mark Lincoln penny, how to tell if you've got one, why it's so valuable, and why you might want to start carrying a magnifying glass to every laundromat. Alright, let's rewind to 1982. It was a weird year. E.T. was phoning home, Michael Jackson dropped Thriller, and the US Mint. They were having a bit of an identity crisis. In 1982, the US Mint transitioned from making pennies out of 95% copper to a much cheaper copper-plated zinc version because, well, it costs more than a penny to make a penny. Classic government logic. So that year, they made 7 different kinds of Lincoln cents. I know, right? It's like Pokemon for coin collectors. You had small dates, large dates, copper compositions, zinc compositions, and some had mint marks, others didn't. It was a numismatic circus. But here's where the juicy part comes in. One rare version of the 1982 D penny, which should have been made from zinc, was somehow struck in copper. That bad boy didn't just skip QA, it skipped the known laws of minting reality. And earlier this year, one of those mystery misfits sold for a jaw-dropping $1.6 million. That's right, someone basically found the Willy Wonka golden ticket in their change jar. You know what's crazy? I had a friend, let's call him Mark, who actually tossed a handful of old coins into a Coinstar machine back in college. I kid you not, he had a couple 1982 pennies in the pile. I asked him if he checked for mint marks or weight. His answer? Mint what? To this day, every time we hang out, I dramatically sigh and whisper, $1.6 million, Mark, you threw away our future boat. You're looking for a 1982D, that's Denver, penny with no mint mark or one with a zinc composition struck on a copper planchet. That's the unicorn.so. Grab a digital scale. Trust me, it's the cheapest investment for possibly the best ROI ever. Look at the number 2 in 1982. If it has a curled tail, it's a small date. If it's more blunt, it's a large date. Most of the valuable errors occur on small date versions. Can't tell copper from zinc? Drop it on a hard surface. Copper pennies have a deeper ring. Zinc ones? More like a sad thunk. Or just use that scale again, you know science. And just to be clear, most 1982 pennies aren't worth more than face value. But if you've got the one, you're not just lucky, you're legendary. So what did we learn today? Never underestimate the power of pocket change. That penny in your junk drawer? Could be a mortgage payment. Or a lifetime supply of tacos. Or a spaceship. I don't know your dreams. But seriously, coin collecting doesn't have to be boring or something only your grandpa does while listening to jazz. It's treasure hunting, with history. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button like it owes you $1 million. Smash subscribe for more coin tips, tricks, and strategies that might just change your life, or at least change the way you look at your spare change. And don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss a money-making tip. Who knows, maybe next week we'll talk about the nickel that paid for someone's Tesla. If you've got a jar of pennies sitting in your kitchen, your car cup holder, or buried under couch cushions, you might want to check it. Because one of those little coppery coins could be worth more than a Ferrari, a down payment on a mansion, or 300,000 Taco Bell burritos. And no, I'm not joking. I'm talking about the 1982D small date Lincoln cent, worth up to $1.80 million. Yep, you heard me. 1.8 million. For a penny. I know what you're thinking. I've probably tossed that in a tip jar. Same, my friend, same. Alright, let's break this down. So what's the big deal with this 1982D penny? In 1982, the US Mint decided to give old Abe a little weight loss plan. Before that, pennies were made mostly of copper. But copper got expensive. Like Kappa's on a juice cleanse and living in LA expensive, so the Mint switched to a cheaper metal, zinc, coated in a thin layer of copper. Here's the kicker, in 1982, both types were made, copper and zinc. And not just that, the coins had two different styles of the date, large date and small date. Yeah, sounds like a dating app for coins, I know. Now Denver, that's the D mint mark under the date, was only supposed to produce the zinc version of the small date penny. But somehow, a few copper planchets slipped through. That means a handful of 1982D pennies were made of copper, which, according to the Mint, shouldn't exist. So, finding a 1982D small date made of copper is like finding a unicorn. Or a working pen in your junk drawer. Nearly impossible, but totally life-changing. In 2019, a collector found one. Not only did it pass the magnet test, because copper and zinc aren't magnetic, but they weighed it. A copper penny from that year weighs about 3.11 grams, while a zinc one weighs about 2.5 grams. And guess what? That penny was real. Authenticated. Certified. And later sold for a jaw-dropping $1.8 million at auction. Now let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, after hearing about valuable coins, I got curious. So I dumped out this entire container of change that's been sitting in my house since like 2004. I'm talking sticky dimes, lint-covered nickels, the works. I was squinting at dates with a magnifying glass like Sherlock Holmes in gym shorts. I didn't find the $1 million penny that day, But I did find a 1943 steel cent, a misprint nickel, and a 1970s small date penny worth a few bucks. Moral of the story? Even if you don't find the jackpot, there's treasure in your change. Literally. Here's what to do if you think you've struck copper gold. Look for a 1982 penny with a D mint mark. Check the date style. You want the small date. Google side-by-side photos to spot the difference. Still not sure? Take it to a coin dealer or get it graded by PCGS or NGC. And please, don't clean the penny. It's not a kitchen pan, it's a potential $1 million baby. So the next time you're digging around for laundry quarters, remember, that grubby penny at the bottom of the jar could pay off your mortgage. Or buy you a limbo. Or just finally help you win at Family Monopoly Night. If this video gave you even a glimmer of hope or a reason to raid your sock drawer, give it a like and hit that glorious red subscribe button below. I drop weekly videos about coins worth money, treasure hunting tips, and strategies to turn your pocket change into real cash. Trust me, you don't want to miss out. We're talking about a 1984 D Lincoln cent, a humble penny with a D mint mark that recently made headlines with a jaw-dropping estimated value of $1.7 million. You heard me. That's 6 zeros after the 1. For a penny. I'm starting to look at my couch cushions like they're a savings account. Let's dive into what makes this coin so rare, how you can identify one, and yep, I'll tell you a story of how I almost threw a small fortune in the Coinstar machine at Walmart. Buckle up, coin fam. Okay, so let's nerd out for a second, friendly nerd I promise. The 1984 D penny was minted in Denver, as noted by the tiny D under Lincoln's shoulder. Now, most of these are completely normal, worth 1 cent, maybe 2 if you're a smooth talker at a yard sale. But there's one super rare variety that has collectors drooling, a 1984 D with a doubled die obverse. That means the front of the coin, Abe's lovely profile, has been struck with a slight misalignment that causes the details, especially his ear and lettering, to appear doubled. I know what you're thinking. Wait, you're telling me Lincoln's extra ear could make me a millionaire? Yes, friend. Abe's got that $1 million hearing. So why is this goof-up worth more than a Lamborghini? Rarity. Only a teeny-tiny number of these were accidentally made and slipped into circulation. We're talking maybe a few dozen known to exist in top condition. In 2024, one pristine 1984 D double die penny graded MS68 by PCGS was valued at, drum roll please, $1.7 million. That's verified, not some eBay nonsense. That's collector money. Museum money. Quit your job and buy a boat money. So real quick story time. Last year I was cleaning out a junk drawer, you know the one, full of dead batteries, a twisty tie, and a mystery key from 2003. I had this old sandwich bag full of pennies, probably 400 of them. I was this close to dumping them in the Coinstar machine, but something told me, hey, check a few first. And boom, I spotted a 1984 D penny. Heart. Stopped. I ran home, pulled out my cheap magnifier, shout out Amazon $5 special, and looked at Lincoln's ear like I was a forensic scientist. Sadly, mine was normal. 1 ear. Basic Abe. But man, that moment? Adrenaline rush like I'd scratched a winning lottery ticket. Alright, here's how you can see if your 1984 D penny is the chosen one. Flip it to the front and check that D under the date. Grab a magnifier, 10x power or better. Phone camera with zoom also works in a pinch. Look at Lincoln's ear, his eye, and the letters "In God We Trust." If it looks like he partied too hard and is seeing double, you might have the jackpot. It's like Where's Waldo, but with a potentially $1 million prize. So, moral of the story? Never underestimate your loose change. That boring penny sitting in your car's cup holder might just buy you beachfront property, or at least a really solid vacation to Cancun. And if you like this kind of treasure hunting adventure, hit that subscribe button right now. I post weekly videos on rare coins, crazy valuable errors, and tips on how to turn your pocket change into real money. Smash that like button if you learned something new today, and leave a comment if you've got a 1984 D penny lying around. Who knows, maybe you're sitting on a small fortune. We're diving deep into how a tiny copper coin became a high roller in the coin collecting world, why this minting error is such a big deal, and how you can figure out if you've got one hiding in plain sight. Also, I'll share a painfully relatable story about how I once almost cashed in big, and blew it. Spoiler alert, it involves laundry and regret. Alright, let's talk pennies. The 1985 Lincoln cent, like most other years, was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Usually, you can tell where it came from because of the little mint mark, like a P, D, or S right under the year. But every once in a while, a penny slips out with no mint mark at all. Now, normally, that's not super rare. In fact, before 1980, Philadelphia coins didn't even have a P on them. But after 1980, it became standard to include the mint mark, so a 1985 coin with no mint mark is supposed to be impossible. And that's exactly why it's worth a fortune. Moneybag, why is it worth $1.50 million? Because this isn't just any no mint mark. This is a very specific kind of error coin, a so-called die variety that was misproduced by the US Mint and then slipped through undetected. There's only a handful known to exist. Think of it like a printing error on a rare comic book or a misprinted baseball card, but in coin form. Lincoln Memorial on the back, no mint mark under the date, super sharp details, no signs of wear, because collectors pay the most for mint condition, and if it has a certain die variety called a double die reverse. Jackpot. Okay, so last summer, I was visiting my grandma, shout out to Grandma Carol. She's one of those people who never throws anything away, right? She hands me this rusted old coffee can and says, "I think there's some old money in here if you want to dig through it." Challenge accepted. I spent 3 hours sorting pennies, nickels, buttons, and one Canadian dime that had teeth marks in it. Don't ask. I found a 1985 penny with no mint mark. I was screaming until I realized it was just worn out and the mint mark had faded. Expressionless face, the heartbreak? Real. But the obsession? Officially born. Now I check every 1985 penny I come across, and you should too. If you think you found one, don't clean it. I repeat, do not polish that bad boy. It actually lowers the value. Put it in a little coin flip case and take it to a certified coin dealer or grading service like PCGS or NGC. So here's the deal, most pennies are worth, well, 1 cent. Some? Maybe a few bucks if they're old. But a 1985 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, especially with a rare die error, that's a lottery ticket in disguise. Coin collecting is like treasure hunting, you never know what you'll find. And best of all? It doesn't cost anything to look. Your next $1 million find could be rattling around in your car's cup holder or sitting under the fridge next to that one Lego and the chewed up pen. If you had fun with this video and you want more coin tips, collecting hacks, and stories of people who struck it rich with spare change, hit that subscribe button and smash the like. Trust me, your future self, and your wallet, will thank you. Also, turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. 7 coins you might have spent that are now worth thousands. Now go dig through those jars. And hey, if you find $1 million penny, just remember who told you first. Smirking face. We're diving into how a little copper disc from 1985 became the Beyoncé of pocket change, and what you need to look for to see if you've got $1 million jingling in your jeans. So first things first, what is this coin we're talking about? It's a 1985 Lincoln cent with a D mint mark, which means it was made in Denver. Now, usually these pennies are worth, well, a penny. Or if you're lucky, like 2 cents. Big spender energy. But the reason this coin is special has everything to do with a super rare mint error. Back in the day, the US Mint switched from making pennies mostly out of copper to a cheaper zinc core with a thin copper coating, because inflation was doing its thing. But somewhere in 1985, a small handful of pennies were mistakenly struck using the older, all-copper planchets, which shouldn't have even been lying around anymore. So essentially, it's like ordering a budget burger and accidentally getting a Wagyu steak on a sesame seed bun. Oops, and thank you, Mint workers. These era coins can be identified by their weight. The regular 1985D zinc pennies weigh about 2.5 grams, but the copper ones? They weigh closer to 3.1 grams. It may not sound like a big difference, but for collectors? That's the holy grail. So, quick story. I once found a 1985D penny in my couch cushions. I got way too excited, ran to the kitchen, grabbed my digital scale, and guess what? 3.0 grams. My heart was pounding. I started planning my island retirement and designing my personal taco truck. Then I checked again, 2.49 grams. Turns out I put a paperclip on the scale by accident. Classic me. But hey, that adrenaline rush? 100% free. Okay, now here's where you come in. If you have any 1985D pennies lying around, here's what you need to do. Get a digital scale that measures to the tenth of a gram. If one weighs around 3.1 grams, do not spend it. Seriously. Not even at the vending machine. Next, take it to a reputable coin dealer or grading service like PCGS or NGC to get it authenticated. Do not go around posting blurry pics on eBay saying rare coin $2 million OBO. That's how you end up on Reddit. So yeah, check your pockets, your couch cushions, that weird drawer in your kitchen where all the batteries and broken pens go. You might literally be sitting on a coin worth more than most people's houses. And remember, it's not just about getting rich. Coin collecting is like treasure hunting, but without all the snakes and jungle curses. If you learned something today or even just laughed a little, smash that like button like it owes you a rare penny. And hey, subscribe if you want more tips on coin hunting, era coin strategies, and how to turn your change into cha-ching. Comment below if you've ever found a rare coin, or if you've just mistaken a Canadian penny for $1 million jackpot like I did once. No shame.